everyone, and welcome back to Bacon. Also, welcome back to Cinderella Phenomenon. We're continuing on with Chapter 9. And I'll go ahead and warn you that once again, you will probably hear kitty noises. My old lady's having some sneezels, and there's not really much that can be done about it. So I apologize in advance for that. Days go by and I find myself assisting Chevalier at times. Other times I remain at the margin to help conceptualize a plan. None of our plans have actually shown any promise yet, but with all of our minds put together, we should be able to come up with something. A week later, I find myself standing outside the clinic door, waiting for Chevalier. I'm sorry to have kept you waiting, Princess. You can drop the title, you know. Lucette, but you are a princess in my eyes. Yes, but you do not need to address me by title. Just my name is fine. Chevalier reaches out to take my hand, then immediately pulls his hand back, eyes wide. Ah, I forgot it. Forgot what? The medicine that I needed for Parfait. Give me a moment, Lucette. Chevalier plants a quick kiss on my forehead before running inside. I stare at the stars as I wait. I think this is the first route in which they were in a relationship kind of early like this in a normal situation, if that makes sense. I know that at one point, like, Waltz and her were definitely together, but there was like a lot of extra drama going on. This feels more normalized, if that makes sense. So this is like, I think, the first route where they were already together pretty early-ish, and they were just kind of dealing with normal everyday things, so to speak. I don't know how to explain what I'm trying to say. It's not like it's important. I turn but see no one walking around the plaza. I inch closer toward the door of the clinic as I take another look around. Boo. It's former goth boyfriend. I suddenly see the silhouette of a man. He takes a few more steps toward me and then stops in front of me. I recognize him immediately. His appearance left quite an impression on me the last time. Out at night by yourself? Certainly you know that wolves prowl these streets at night. What do you want? I take a step back and press myself to the door. I reach for the door handle, but the man reaches out a hand to grab my wrist, holding it to the door. I'd say my answer to that question is complicated, Princess. By the expression on your face, I must have hit the nail right on the head, eh? You are the princess. How do you know who I am? That is part of the mystery, isn't it? I attempt to wrestle my wrist out of his fingers. Come with me quietly and you won't get hurt. Scream for help. Go quietly. I'd scream for help. I refuse to go anywhere with him. I open my mouth to scream, but before I can even breathe, the man's hand flies to my mouth. You're a disobedient one, aren't you? I struggle against his grasp. It does not take long for the grin to fall from his face. It is replaced with a look that lacks any amusement. I enjoy seeing you struggle, but I'm afraid we've been out here for far too long. I bang my shoulder against the door and a resounding creak follows my attempt. It was the right one! No more Mr. Nice Guy. Were you a nice guy to begin with, though, sir? The man opens a small vial right in front of my face. Something sweet wafts in the air, and I suddenly feel myself falling into darkness as I collapse. She's been princess napped. Where am I? I glance around me. My room. I look around cautiously, checking to see if anything in my room is different. The last time I was here was before I was cursed. How is it that this room is the same? Sleeping Beauty has awoken. I move to stand up before realizing my legs are numb. Shame to see you so easily tamed, Princess. And here I thought you would be fun. That's not weird. It's not weird at all. I glance up to look at the man who is now standing right at my bedside. How do you know who I am? Are you a witch? A witch? Me? Ha! He bursts into laughter. I would rip the witches to shreds if I could. If you could, then you are cursed. The man simply smirks at me but says nothing in response. He brushes the words aside with a gesture of his hand. Oh, I remember that in Karma he dies. In Rods he just disappears. So I'm a little concerned for what happens to Fritz and him in this route. Are you working for Mithros? Probably. amuse me so greatly. I glare at his vague answer. My name is Varg, and I have been assigned to be your personal knight. I already have a personal knight. Oh, you mean Fritz? I got rid of him. No playing with the Queen's daughter, Varg. Mithras enters the room. Now he stands in the doorway, eyeing the both of us with a smile that is so oddly reminiscent of his usual one that it makes me sick. Makes me sick? Mithras. That sounded a little happier than I meant it to. Mithras. Princess, you look more and more like your mother every day. Why, the scowl on your face is almost a perfect reflection. He moves to stand in front of me. At the same time, Varg begins to take slow and careful footsteps to the edge of my room. What have you done with everyone? Inconsequential or consequential? What? Mithras clicks his tongue impatiently. Inconsequential or consequential people? I narrow my eyes at him. I have no idea who he defines as inconsequential or consequential. Where are the king and the rest of the family? Where is Fritz? Were you the one who killed Sir Alcaster? An inconsequential and consequential then. To start, your knight is gone, Princess. I replaced him with Varg here. And Alcaster? Well, we had a common cause at first. We both wanted the crown. Sir Alcaster was also betraying the king? But Alcaster was a brute. He wanted to needlessly kill the royal family and steal the crown for himself. At first I had thought he was calm and calculating. But it turns out that he was just a power-hungry fool. Though I did want to take the crown, I wanted to avoid the bloodshed of certain important people. Mithras smiles at me. It is a look that makes my blood run cold. So I disposed of him and the rest of his knights. Oh, but don't worry, Princess. I assure you that your family is resting in their rooms, just like you are resting in yours. What? Do not worry. You will see them shortly for dinner. I have my doubts about Mithras' story, but if what he said was true, then Sir Alcaster wanted to kill the royal family and Mithras saved them. But then he decimated the knights and took the royal family hostage? Why would he do such a thing? They're prisoners, then. Prisoners in their own home? Nonsense. We're all just awaiting the Queen's return together. The Queen? Oh, is she coming back in this route? We don't have time for her to come back in this route. We have less than a chapter and a half left. Unless chapter 10 is going to be crazy, crazy long. Slowly, I feel pieces beginning to fit together. The Queen. He cannot be talking about Ophelia. Delora, do you think witches are capable of bringing back the dead? Mother is dead. Is she really? You can bring Mother back from the dead? We can, Princess. We? The Queen has been resting for a long time, waiting for you to gain your powers so that you can help her escape her prison. You are not making any sense. I struggle to keep my words from faltering. How is Mother alive? And what does he mean by a prisoner? The Tenebrarum is the Queen's prison. It is linked to the Queen's power. Though others presumed she was dead, the Queen sealed the last of her powers inside the crystal. All she requires is your power, Princess. My power? When you become the next bearer, you will have the ability to release the Queen from her prison. My birthday is in a week. That is when I meant to take on the responsibilities of becoming the bearer, though Parfait and Delora never went into more detail beyond that. You'll finally get to see your mother again, Princess. I still cannot quite take in everything he has just said. However, if Mithras had approached me before the curse, I would have helped Mother in a heartbeat. But it was Mother who was the last Tenebrarum bearer, and the one who brought darkness to Angiel. I once believed that Mother was the only person to ever love me. Now I know that I was wrong, that she shut me in from a world that I should have known. But still, even now, I wish she was here. I take a deep breath. But I cannot afford to be selfish. I cannot put anyone else in danger. I will not help you. You don't have a choice, Princess. I have set the stage for my Queen's return. All that's left is to free her from her cage. We will speak more of this at the dining table. Mithras leaves the room, leaving me briefly with Varg. Varg smiles at me beneath his mask, then brings his index finger to the temple of his head and loops it. You mouse the word crazy? You said you would tear witches apart, so why do you serve Mithros? He's reminding me why I liked him so much. Why in his route did he have to do that one thing that tore me apart from him? Why? A good question that I'm not gonna answer. You're not going to answer me. How perceptive of you, princess. He smirks at me before following me, throws out the door. Why did you have to do the one thing in your own route that made me like you less? Ugh. I hate it. Come back here, I love you. I am once again left by myself in the room. Everything Mithros just told me swirls through my mind. My mother? Alive. And he killed everyone only to take the crown and keep it for her. A shudder runs through my body. She cannot return. I spend the next hour looking around my room for things that might aid my escape. I know where everyone else's rooms are too, but I have no idea how heavily guarded they are, and I doubt I could help them. I must return to the Marchen. I test the window, but it is locked, of course, probably with magic. I search my shelves. The dolls that used to comfort me can do nothing for me now. Last, I check my drawers, but though there are many things in them, there is nothing that looks like it could help me escape. As I am searching, I come across a box and pause to pick it up. Hello! Is this going to be the third route in which we bring back Waltz, the superior goth boyfriend? Though, to be fair, I love Waltz to pieces, but I would not be able to choose between him and Varg if Varg had just not done that one thing. In real life, it would 100% be Waltz. Like, there would be no question about it. I remember this. It was given to me by my mother with strict instructions not to open it and always keep the key hidden. I search the drawers again for the key. The moment I begin to set the box down, I see a small golden key at the bottom of the drawer. I pick it up and I'm about to open the box when I stop. This is hardly a priority right now. Do it! No, 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 no. No, 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 no. I set the key down next to the box. Open it. It would take you less than a second. I should be searching for a way to escape. What if there's something inside that could actually help you? It was from your mother. What if there's a magical item you don't know? Why are you dumb in this route? Open it. It would take less than a second to open it and search through. I mean, come on. I turn to see Varg's smiling face at the door. You look like a criminal who's just been caught doing something naughty. Naughty. That one Courage the Cowardly Dog episode was weird, says the criminal himself. Maybe we're meant for each other. Oh, Varg! I narrow my eyes as he approaches. Behind his back, I can make out the open door. Don't even think about it. You don't want me to pounce you in the hallways, do you? Maybe I would. That would be unpleasant. Would it now? Varg grabs my wrist. I attempt to struggle free, but he holds tight to me. I will be your escort to dinner tonight. I keep my head held high as Varg escorts me from the room. On the way to the dining hall, I glimpse the rest of the palace. It is mostly empty, save for a few soldiers. The soldiers that do stand there have a glazed look in their eyes and look right through me. Puppets. A spell cast by Mithros? Varg doesn't answer me as he pulls me through the hallway. Soon I find myself in the dining hall. The guards, usually standing by the walls, are gone. Now there is only the royal family, and they seem to be unharmed. You. I can see recognition in the king's eyes. My heart flutters as he stands, or tries to. He manages to rise, but only just barely. I notice that his feet stay firmly planted where they are. Everyone's bodies look exceptionally stiff. Is this some kind of spell? You were the girl that was outside my palace months ago. Mithros, what is the meaning of this? I notice that the king is not at the head of the table as usual. Everyone sits on the table's sides except for Mithros, who is at the far end. The king's seat, however, is clear. I simply brought back the crown princess. You should be thanking me, Gennaro. I reunited you with your daughter. My daughter? The king raises an eyebrow, clearly skeptical, even though he really shouldn't be, considering she has your eyes and looks like your former wife, her mother. And you've also apparently been waiting for a daughter to come back, which is why you've maintained her room. You know, waiting for somebody important to return. Things like that. You know, all the evidence that was clearly screaming, that might actually be your daughter, maybe you should at least look into it. The king raises an eyebrow, skeptical. I can see in his eyes that he is loath to trust anything Mithros says. The king slumps in his chair as Varg leads me to a seat just beside Rod. I notice Emmeline sitting just to Rod's side. She forces a smile onto her face, but I can see tears gathering in her eyes. Allow me to offer a more formal introduction for our guest, even though you all know her. Her name is Lucette Riella Breton, and she is the crown princess of Angiel. And your blood daughter, Gennaro. The king looks at me again. This time there is more uncertainty in his gaze. Prince Rod will tell you, won't he? Rod? Rod looks at me, his gaze quiet but expectant. I turn to the king and to the rest of my stepfamily. I am indeed the crown princess. It is nice to meet you. I want to say this one, so we're going with that one first. This is my chance to prove to them that I am the princess. The king never believed me before, but here I can convince him. I am indeed the crown princess, Lucette Riella Breton. I told you before, your majesty, but I was cursed and you did not believe me. Now no one remembers who I am. I would remember my own daughter. What part if she just said that she's cursed, and again, you apparently have been maintaining her room, waiting for someone important, not sure who that person could be. You've given a freaking explanation and you're still denying it. Why? Oh, it's because he truly loves his daughter. No, he's scared of his daughter, and he was scared of the repercussions of her coming back. That's why he didn't want to do it, because subconsciously, he was terrified. I flinch. A pained look comes onto the king's face as he stares at me. Mithros is smiling slyly at the end of the table, looking pleased by the further confusion I have caused. Rod, are you gonna say anything? I guess he can't. Maybe Sebi's been silenced temporarily? Is his purpose only to confuse everyone further? What kind of mind game is he playing? Gennaro, she is undoubtedly your daughter. That is why she is in the room that you have been taking care of. He brought it up. What? The king's eyes widen. He looks at a loss for words. Princess, the king has been keeping your room clean and tidy for the sake of nostalgia, and he has no idea why. Never question it. Magic works in interesting ways, doesn't it? I was wondering why my room was unchanged, but could it be that the king remembers me somehow? Yet he still wanted to fight against the possibility of you being his daughter, and most likely because you look like your mom. I look up at him, but he has already glanced away from me, his expression a complicated twist of confusion and helplessness. It seems that even the king does not fully understand, and I'm also thinking that wasn't the right decision because I haven't gotten a crystal yet. I turn to Mithros. It can work in both good and bad ways. Oh yes, the fairy tale curse is terrible, isn't it? I catch Varg's eyes from the side of the room. He glances away from me and I follow his gaze to the corners of the room. I hadn't noticed them before, but now I see cloaked figures hiding in the shadows. Witches. They must be the ones holding everyone in place if they try to escape. But not all magic is terrible, like the magic we will use to revive the queen. You are insane. Hilda is mad. You have no right to refer to her by name. A sudden chill envelops the room. I can feel actual icicles on the table. I pull my hands away. Now, we're going to eat dinner, and we're going to enjoy it. And every day will be just like this until the queen returns. Rod glares across the table at Mithros. Why? Okay, so he can speak and he chose not to again. Even though he had that really sympathetic look of, I'm so sorry, Lucette, that you're being put through some pain, and he still chose not to say anything. Why would we not enjoy dinners together? That's not what I meant. Why go through this charade day after day? I stare across the table at Mithros, glaring. I already told you before, I had to clear this place of traitors. Alcaster planned on stealing the crown, and I stole it back. But because the time of the queen's revival is so close, I have decided to keep the crown with me until I can return it to its appropriate owner. Queen Hilda is the true owner of the crown. I thought it best that we all wait out her arrival together. But know this, when my queen demands it, I will kill all of you. I simply refuse to act without her orders. You're not crazy. This time, guards come into the room with food. They set it before us and we were forced to eat beneath Mithros' watchful gaze. Though I try to spot an opening in the dining hall, I can find no way out. This really is a prison. 2 days pass. I've been searching for ways and trying to ease more answers out of Varg and Mithros. Neither of them is very forthcoming. Both enjoy speaking in riddles. Varg especially is an enigma. Whenever I try to ask him about Fritz, he smirks at me and remains silent. What? Not going to try asking me any questions tonight? I am not going to get any answers from Varg, and it is almost my birthday. I need to find a way out of here. I'm disappointed. You're the only fun I have in here, princess. Maybe if I am quiet, he will leave me alone. I've tried that tactic so many times. It rarely works. If you're just going to be quiet and sulk, I guess I should be going, oh, it worked? Remember, don't try anything funny. There are knights just outside your door. Varg bows mockingly. He leans down to pat me on the head before he turns and leaves. I cannot give up. I once again begin searching through my room. Time is running out, and there is nothing I can do besides search for a way out. But I know that if I leave the room, the knights will catch me immediately. If I had a weapon, I might stand a chance. I put my fingers to my neck and remember what Chevalier told me about it. Sleep. The sound comes from outside my door. It is a woman's voice. The door opens and suddenly Chevalier and Delora are both in my room. Princess! I am startled to see Chevalier standing before me, his eyebrows drawn over his eyes with great worry. And beside him stands Delora with her arms crossed. Well, aren't you a sight for sore eyes? We're here to stage a daring rescue. I rush to Chevalier and wrap my arms around him. He puts a hand on the small of my back and smiles down at me. We're going to get you out of here, princess. How'd you both get in here? With the power of magic. Dramatic, even at a time like this. The two exchange a look before looking at me seriously. Parfait, Waltz, the Knights, and Karma are all here. We thought we'd just be fighting witches, though. We weren't expecting the Knights. No matter what we said, we couldn't get through to them. They're under a spell. Mithros. He wants to release Mother. Both of them look at me with confusion. What? Mother is still alive, just inside the Tenebrarum. Mithros wants to bring her back. That is impossible. The Queen is still alive? Chevalier looks worried while Delora's expression is more rigid and resolute. We cannot let that happen. I don't know how the Queen would be alive in the first place, but... well, we'll worry about that later. Right, we have time to discuss the specifics of everything, but right now we need to get out of here. Grab the box and key. Grab the box and key. Grab the box and key. Right, everyone is keeping the guards and witches busy for you, princess. I'll distract Mithros. Chevalier, I'm counting on you to get the princess to safety. That's why I'm here. Princess, can you guide me through the palace? I cannot just leave everyone here. Don't worry. Garland is seeing to saving your family. No, I cannot just leave everyone in the march in here to do things for me. Lucette, we cannot afford to lose you. I told you I would do anything to protect you, and I will. The sooner you're safe, the sooner we'll have the advantage. You are the legitimate heir to the throne, and the next Tenebrarum bearer. You cannot let yourself remain in Mithros' hands. The situation is indeed most dire, so for now we must hurry. I nod my head feebly. Without another word, the three of us head to the door. Delora exits first and stops immediately. I almost run into her. I glance to the doorway and see Varg waiting just outside, holding a blade across Delora's neck. Delora holds up her hand, deflects the sword as it slides harmlessly past her neck. Varg slides away, still holding out his sword. His usual smirk is half-hearted at best. Why didn't you open the box? Waltz could have had his... I know that Waltz doesn't have to be the one to open it, even though in his right it indicated that, but then he wasn't the one that opened it, so I'm very confused. So if she had just opened it, they would have the advantage with Waltz. I'm so like, why is she so dumb? But then again, Varg did just step in at that moment. But I don't see why he would have stopped her from opening a box. Or maybe he would have? Who knows? We won't ever know now what would have happened if she had tried to open the box because she simply did not. Get out of our way. You're awfully demanding, aren't you? Pretty please. No can do, my lady. Shame. Looks like I'll have to destroy that pretty mask of yours along with everything else underneath it. Delora holds up her hand and summons a wall of electric orbs. At the flick of her wrist, she sends them rushing toward Varg, who dodges with surprising speed. Varg's movements appear sluggish, but I have seen his fast reflexes. He is playing with Delora, even though I do not think he has the advantage. He drops the sword, and for a few moments I feel Delora has the advantage. Then suddenly he raises the cane. Ooh, uh-oh. He usually holds it aside, and taps it on the ground. A burst of smoke escapes from the bottom of it, shrouding the room. An enchanted cane? You're not the only one with tricks up your sleeve. Delora. Chevalier, get her out of here. The box and key! No! Let's go, princess. Chevalier takes my hand in his and begins to lead me away. I turn to glance back at Delora and Varg and realize that while Delora is completely on the offensive, Varg does nothing but dodge. It's as if he is trying to buy time for something. I banish the thought from my head as Chevalier pulls me down the hall. Or someone might be more appropriate. How rude. Haven't you heard of chivalry? I spot Karma, still in his dress, holding a sword out at the man in front of him. When the man lunges, Karma dodges back and grunts as his back comes to the wall. I suppose chivalry is dead, then. He steps off to the side as the possessed knight attacks him with his blade. The sword catches his dress, but does not hinder him from stepping forward and aiming a jab with the sword beneath the knight's armor. The knight keels, but the sword does not fall from his hand. Karma looks up at us sharply. What are you doing just standing there? Move! It takes me a moment to realize that just as I was frozen, so too was Chevalier. His face is pale as he grabs my hand again and once again starts rushing me down the other end of the hall. Karma just killed someone who was under a spell who might have been innocent. Uh-oh. Not that he knew, but... oh dear. Chivalier's steps are wider than mine, and I have to struggle to keep up. But the further we go down the hallway, the more apparent it becomes that there are too many obstacles in the way. We pass Joreen and Garland as we move too, and they manage to clear a path for us. These knights. Will they not stop moving until Mithras is defeated? I hope the king and everyone else is safe. As we pass Joreen and Garland, I tell them where the royal family is, but I have no way of knowing if the words reach their ears amidst all of the sound. Chevalier? So the stab wounds in the armor that I saw earlier were from the knights themselves. But why would they battle each other? What? The punctures in the armor that we saw at the clinic, the stab wounds in the gut and the arms. Chevalier's eyes are so distant, it is as if he is looking right through me. They were. We need to keep moving. I take his hand and lead him forward. I do not know what he's talking about, but we can talk about this later. Right now we have to escape. We are closer to the palace entrance when we see them. A group of knights stand in two lines on both sides of the hall facing each other. And at the far end of the hallway stands a gaggle of witches, and in between them, Mithras. Good evening. Did you enjoy your stroll around the palace? Chevalier immediately moves to stand in front of me. The cloudiness is gone from his eyes. But what leaves his mouth is not a demand, but a question. How could you do this? How? It was quite easy, actually. You know what I mean. Why would you make the knights fight one another? What a foolish question. Obviously, it's because they're inconsequential. On a stage, some pawns exist as easily replaceable extras. I am interested in keeping only the actors. In the grand scheme of things, the extras aren't needed. In fact, I can make them do whatever I need in order to get the best outcome. He cray-cray. He snaps his fingers and the knights raise their swords. I tense, thinking that the knights are going to turn to us, but they never do. Here is an interlude for you to enjoy. The knights are attacked. Oh, he's gonna have the knights that are under the spell attack and kill each other! The sound of metal ringing against metal fills the air. The knight's swords arch, dive, and stab. Mithras watches from behind them, the sly smile never leaving his lips. The two of us can only stand there, stunned in silence. It is long before we see red. The smell of blood begins to linger in the air as swords cut through flesh. Abruptly, I snap to my senses. I attempt to move forward, but Chevalier remains firmly grounded. Chevalier. I heard many things about the doctor working at the clinics. I heard that he was a volunteer who had assisted in helping the injured during the Great War. I also heard that until just recently he had been cursed. I knew immediately upon seeing you that you were that volunteer. I suppose it is unavoidable that you and the princess know each other, but to think you would be so close. Chevalier just stares blankly ahead. He looks almost like he is under a spell. His eyes are glazed. I continue to call his name. His eyes follow the sword movements of the knights, and he does not even spare me a glance. Have I unraveled the doctor? Oh dear. Well, that was a dramatic place to end things. I don't think I'm gonna get the bad ending. I only left it at the one bad decision, and I went back and correct. Except for that last one. That last one was a bad decision. Oh crap, we're going back. Don't worry, we're going back, everybody. We're going back. Oh dear. It is nice to meet you. Oh crap, that was close. There is no point in trying to convince the king of my birthright here and now. I would only confuse him more, and now is not the time or place. I glanced at Mithras, who was smiling at me expectantly. That was close! Besides, Mithras must have a reason for insisting on my birthright right now. Most likely he just means to confuse the king more. If that is the case, I will not play into such a petty scheme. My name is Lucette. Thank you for your kindness that one time. Rod looks shocked. I scowl at him before turning to look at Mithras. Mithras' smile is twisted into a frown. I feel proud in seeing him caught off guard. Aha! Whew! Whew! That could have been bad. Could have been real bad. Lucette, what are you doing here? Gennaro, she is undoubtedly your daughter. Okay. Okay. Alright. Chevalier, don't listen to him. Ah, just look at all these men you cannot save. All of these men dying before your eyes. Chevalier, we have to get away from here. How many people have you really saved? In the grand scheme of things, you have no talent. That is why you sought help from a witch. Uh-oh. Mithras' voice is oddly calm, and I can feel some sort of presence in the air that is different from normal. A knight plunges a sword through another's gut, causing him to lose his sword. The sword skitters across the floor, gleaming underneath the moonlight. I look desperately at Chevalier and realize that the magic is already working its way into him. He does not see anyone except for Mithras, who is still smiling at him from behind all of the knights. I glance at the sword, remembering what Chevalier taught me. Mithras is unguarded right now, but I have better judgment than that, and I told Chevalier that I was going to steer clear of the burden of taking someone's life. I have a promise to keep. I gaze up at Chevalier and realize that this was how he looked every time he regained a memory, like he was stuck in his own mind. There's only one thing I can think of to get him out of this trance. I clench my hand into a fist, and I punch Chevalier in the face! Ow! God's my face! Impossible. Chevalier's eyes clear, and when he looks at me, I can tell he is distraught, but his eyes are seeing the present. Sorry, I thought I lost you. I suppose I needed that, didn't I? Chevalier smiles sheepishly. It is fleeting and gone by the time we both turn to Mithras again. Chevalier looks straight past the still fighting knights. If this bothers Chevalier, which it must, he hides it beneath a neutral expression. How did you break my spell? You cannot even use it in magic. She didn't break it with magic, she broke it with the power of love! Via her fist. I stare at him skeptically. We both know that is not true, and I know Chevalier well enough to know that he does not mean that. But Mithras looks furious. Love, ha, as if some fairy tale love could save you from this predicament. It's not even really love. Again, a lot of this was forced. This could have been such a great route. I especially love that he's purposely pissing Mithras off with his cheesy lines and junk. This could have been so much fun. Princess, you're a witch. We feed off negativity, off of chaos and loathing. Love serves us no power. Life is about balance. Lucette taught me that. And though I might not be able to uphold a balance of negatives and positives myself, I'm at least going to try. You could try to do the same. Maybe look beyond your depressing life and start searching for something that gives you happiness. Something that won't plummet you back into the same darkness. Mithras snaps his fingers and the knights all freeze. Then they turn to us, swords raised. I do not need to be lectured by some lovesick fool. By all means, cling to your love. I will show you how fragile it is. Witches do not need love. Mithras holds out his hands and the knights begin their steady, deadly march toward us. Chevalier takes my hand and pulls me back. But I see my opening in the narrative. Mithras enjoys inflicting pain with his words. And I can do the same. If you do not need love, if you do not need affection, then why are you doing all of this for Mother? I am not. You are doing it to be recognized. Why? Every student wants to impress their teacher. His words are calm, but there is a desperation in them. Mother was Mithras' teacher? I thought that he was just reviving her as another witch, but... Do you know Mithras? It was a long time ago. We both shared the same teacher. Teacher? Wait. Waltz, are you a witch, yeah. Waltz was Mother's student? No, I cannot think about that now, but I can use this to my advantage. I do not remember Mother's students in the least, but one of them turned out right. The other did not, and I can see the bitterness in you. It is the same bitterness I held, only yours goes deeper. You will not sway me with your foolish words. The knights begin to rush us. Their run is more of a pathetic shuffle given the harmed state that they are in, but this does not slow them down. They're like zombies! We're going to run. But, nope, we're running. Trust me, princess, I will protect you no matter what. He grabs my hand and we wait. I can see Chevalier's eyes darting around as he searches for an opening. I can feel the pulse of his quickened heartbeat through my hand, and I know he is panicking. Suddenly, there is a massive luminescent golden wall in front of us. The knights stumble right into it, their swords hitting the bright barrier. Parfait! Are you two okay? Parfait rushes to stand in front of us. Mithra's expression is a cold, angry glare. He measures the situation with critical eyes, and then he turns away and begins to dart down the hall. Ugh. Parfait collapses to one knee, arms still outstretched to maintain the barrier. Delora appears. She is flustered and bleeding on one arm, but she still stands straight. Delora holds up her hand and summons fire. Put down the shield, Parfait. I have this. Parfait releases the shield and the magic projectiles shoot out at the knights. The two edge the knights back toward the hallway, but I can see Parfait growing weaker and weaker by the moment. Parfait takes a deep, shuddering breath as she tries to stand. When she falls yet again, Chevalier takes a step forward and looks at her urgently. Lady Parfait. This route doesn't make sense as to why she's already so weakened. I guess she was doing a lot of fighting getting through here. Maybe that's part of it. But she's been pretty well taken care of this route. So it seems a little strange. She didn't have to like overload herself like in Rods. So it does seem a little weird that she's just so weakened even with a little bit of battle. A little bit of battle. It could have been a lot of bit of battle actually. I'm fine. Don't fuss. Her breathing is labored, but she still manages to smile. I fought in the Great War. This is nothing. She looks at me and Chevalier. You two need to leave. But you're... Fine. I just need to gather my energy. A spell from Delora sends the knight sprawling to the ground after she creates a heavy downpour of rain that quickly turns into ice. You two keep going. The entrance is clear. I notice the witches that have been standing behind Mithros approach us now. Delora stands at the ready. I can tell that she is hiding a great amount of stress behind her smirk. Parfait slowly gets to her feet. We fight together, Delora. There's no one I'd rather have fighting by my side, Faye, and this is more reason why I ship them. Come on, princess, while we still have an opening. We head around the side. Parfait erects a shield to protect us from any magic that comes our way, and Delora summons a whirlwind as a distraction. Ow! My foot is grazed by fire, causing me to stumble, but I force myself into a limping sprint regardless. This is nothing. At the entrance, I pause in the middle of the room. The main entrance hall is eerily silent. And then I see Mithros edging his way to the king's throne. He is holding tight to Emmeline. He notices me watching and smiles. Then he disappears into the throne room. We have to follow him. Princess, he has Emmeline. Chevalier's posture and expression are indecisive, but mine are not. I know Mithras is baiting me, but I cannot leave her alone. My gaze moves around the hallway as I search for the other knights. The place is empty, but it is not long before we hear footsteps. I tense at the sound and Chevalier holds tightly to my hand. Then suddenly, as the figure draws nearer, I recognize him, even if he seems a completely different, older person. Waltz! I finally found you! Waltz? You broke your curse, but how? Chevalier stares at him in awe. I now dub you Waltz the Big. Oh, good gravy. That's something I would say. I hate it. I would say that. Oh no. There was never a Waltz the Small. Waltz shakes his head. And I broke my curse unexpectedly. I actually found the item I needed while I was searching around. But I can explain more later. For now we have to go after Mithros. Do you know where he is? He's in the throne room. Mithros stands in the middle of the empty throne room, holding Emmeline to him. He has his hand around her neck. No sudden moves, you three, or this girl dies. And I do know how much death bothers you. With a start, I realize he is talking to Waltz. All three of us are frozen. Myth. Traitor. Why can't you see that Hilda wasn't trying to teach us? She was trying to corrupt us. Listen to hot, superior goth boyfriend. Silence, traitor. You betrayed her. You betrayed her. During the war, you betrayed your own teacher. Betrayed? Hilda was corrupted. She cannot be saved. How dare you use her name? Mithras' fingers tighten on Emmeline's throat. I can see the tears running down her face. Her sobbing is quiet, but still it reaches my ears in the silent room. Varg. Which rhymes with Arg. Varg appears from the darkness as he did before. He smiles at all of us from behind Mithras, eyes glinting mischievously. You didn't finish the job. It'd be nice if he helped us out. Be real nice if he helped us out, you know, and then when he turns back into Fritz, you know, ship these two together, it'd be cool. I'd be fine with that. Then we'd still have Varg, and we'd have Fritz. Well, me and Varg would go away after the curse was lifted, but he'd still be around and not dead or missing. You were awfully vague when you told me to take care of them. You know, most people would assume that meant entertaining them and offering them refreshments. No! Stop making me like you! Obey me. Varg turns to us. He draws the sword he used earlier, his smile fading. I think I see something like pain in his eyes, but then I think it might be my imagination. He looks stoic as he moves toward us. When Waltz moves, Mithras' hand tightens over Emmeline's neck and she cries out. Chevalier is watching everything quietly. The concern in his eyes is muted by the urgency. I follow his gaze around the room, wondering what he is searching for. Myth, is it? You were injured during the Great War. I tended to you once. Stabbed in the stomach. You needed stitches for it. I feel Mithras' confusion before I see it. For just a few moments, though, his gaze is centered on Chevalier, his eyes probing him for information. No one came for you. Your teacher must have thought that you were too weak, that you would die. Mithras' hand flies from Emmeline's neck as he lunges towards Chevalier with a snarl, his expression mad. So basically, he has the ability to annoy anyone into a rage, into a literal flying rage. How unexpectedly expected. The room breaks into chaos then. I feel the rise of magic beside me as Walt's ready to spell, the tension in Chevalier's body as he prepares to shield me, and lastly, I see Varg zip across the room. Everything goes white. When I look up, I see Walt standing in front of me with the shield. Mithras' hand lies flat against the shield, and I can feel the heat of his magic. Varg lies on the ground beside his fallen sword, unconscious from the impact of magic. Even Chevalier is on his knees. I rush toward the sword at the same moment Waltz pushes Mithras back onto the ground. Then, sword in hand, I stand above Mithras and aim it at his neck. The blade touches the skin without sinking into it. Emmeline is hiding behind the throne, staring out at the scene with shock on her tear-stained face. We never got the third good deed. So I wonder if this is going to be it. Will you kill me? Mithras' smile is a mere shadow of itself. You saw the soldiers in the clinic today. You saw how close some of them were to death. Did you see the hollow look in their eyes? I've seen that look many times. It is the look of a man who clings desperately to life. Every life is precious, and a life is still a life, whether it's vile or not. It is still a responsibility you have to bear. I know how valuable lives are because I have helped so many people. That desperation is in Mithras' eyes now, a man that clings to life. It would be so easy to slice his throat. I have seen so much bloodshed on this night, and it was all caused by Mithras. If I kill him, I can stop all of it. But that would make me no better than Mother. I drop the sword. Mithras actually stops to stare at me in shock. I am not like Mother. I will not kill you for revenge. No sooner have I said the words that I feel a sudden heat in my chest. My hand instinctively reaches up to grab the necklace around my neck. And then there is a bright light. When the light clears, a new source of light catches my eyes. I stop to stare down at my feet, which are in glass slippers that shine so brightly they sparkle even in the dim light. They're gonna know everywhere I go now. I can't play hide and seek anymore. But I have no time to admire the shoes or the weight that has fallen off my shoulders. I barely recognize that the fairy tale curse has been broken. Emmeline rises from behind the throne and screams. Lucette, watch out. I screamed so well just now. Mithras has grabbed the sword with his hand and turned it around and is aiming it at my chest. You know, if she dies, then in like 4 or 5 days-ish, whatever amount of time was left, you're not going to be able to revive your queen, so... It hits a barrier. Parfait stands beside me once more, so he's just gone completely crazy. Her face devoid of any color. I did not see her rush in here. She takes a few steps forward as if to shield me. Well, that's what she's kind of doing, honey, so it's not as if to shield me. She is shielding you. Out of my way. Mithros draws the sword back and plunges it again at the shield. This time the blade is coated with darkness. It pierces the already flimsy shield. And the blade goes through Parfait's heart. How many rounds does this chick die? And if she's dead... Oh no, you have to destroy the crystal. If she's dead, it's just gonna go to her cousin, whoever the next heir is again. Parfait! Parfait grabs the blade and narrows her eyes at Mithros. I am sorry Hildur did not appreciate you. Something swells inside of me as I stare at Parfait. The sword is impaled in her and I can see her eyes go glassy. I cannot speak, cannot breathe. Waltz rushes forward with his magic and pins Mithros forcefully to the ground. He raises his hand, but it never comes down in time. A sword strikes past his shoulder, right at Mithros' neck. When I turn, it is Chevalier that is holding it. His body shakes as tears run down his cheeks. Mithros holds his neck as Chevalier holds up the blade and throws it behind him. Out of the corner of my eyes, I catch movement that can only be Varg, but I do not care. But Lady Parfait, do not move. We can take the sword out. We can... But I see a hopelessness in Chevalier's expression, and I know that whatever wound Parfait took was lethal. I can see it in his eyes. I can see it in Parfait's. And we never got to meet the witch doctor. Huh. There is no need to fuss. When Parfait falls, Waltz grabs her and puts his hand to the hilt of the sword. Chevalier crumbles beside her. He stares at the blood staining her dress with sorrow. I start to cry. Lucette, do not regret this. I am proud of you. The room is quiet, even with the newcomers that arrive. The knights and Karma watch the scene from the sidelines, all with grim looks on their faces. Last to arrive is Delora, who sits down beside Parfait with her lips pulled into an uptight frown. Her face is stern, but I can tell it is a mask. Parfait. That look doesn't suit you, Delora. I told you to stay back. Had I not been here in time, the princess would have... Her words fall apart as she begins to cough. Delora leans over her and shakes her head. I'm sorry I didn't come sooner. Everything is as it should be, Delora. Parfait cranes her neck to look up at me. Wipe away your tears, Lucette. What you did was a good deed. You spared a man's life. But life is not a fairy tale. Humans are good and bad. No, it isn't. But the fear of death makes a life even more valuable. Do not worry, Princess. I chose this. Parfait smiles. It is mystifying to see her smile when her body is slowly crumbling away in Waltz's grasp. Parfait's body is what gives up first. Her eyes go next. They remain focused on me, still smiling. Her body begins to glow as her body slowly fades away. Parfait. Parfait! Delora turns away. Even if she is not shedding any tears, it is clear that she is heartbroken. Did we come across the little thing that says Chapter 10 yet? Because I kind of feel like this has been going on way super duper long, and I have to wonder... No, we did not! Because I would have saved. Oh my. She closes her eyes and releases a shaky sigh. Sweet dreams, my friend. I do not know how long we all stay in that room, mourning the loss of Parfait. Karma, Jurian, and Garland eventually spread out to search for any remaining danger. At some point, they return with the king and the rest of the family. My reunion with my family is half-hearted. I do not know what to say to people that I hated only months ago. Despite the quiet, they all take me in with open arms. The king stays by my side long after all the others have left. Karma and the knights return to the Marchand to tell the others the news. Waltz goes to search the palace for any remaining resistance. Only Delora, Chevalier, and the king and I remain. Chevalier cries. I've never seen him cry before, but his heartbreak is my own. He had to kill somebody he had saved before. Okay, so at this point, I'm pretty sure Chapter 10 is going to be pretty short. This has been going on for way longer than I meant it to. We are in Chapter 10! I did keep going! Crap! Which means that there's probably almost nothing left. So you know what? We're just gonna continue. It's gonna be a long episode, and then after this we can start the sequel. How exciting! Anyway. Though I don't remember the chapter 10 card. What the heck? What happened was a nightmare, but it eventually ended. Last night, Varg escaped the throne room. No one saw where he disappeared to in all of the chaos. I am beginning to believe that this feint was a trick. So, he went missing like he did in another route. Frisk just does not get it easy, ever. Poor baby. Since the night had left everyone so tired, we were offered rooms in the palace. I came to my room with Chevalier, where the two of us attempted to comfort each other with words. Chevalier was especially shaken, being the one to kill Mithros. He was in tears for a long time. I am pretty sure that I must have fallen asleep sometime when we were talking, but I am lying in my bed underneath my covers, and though I think for a few moments that it must be a figment of my imagination, it is not. He is sleeping without glasses. Chevalier is definitely lying right next to me, sleeping beneath those same covers. He's so pretty. Too bad his personality is real bad. How did this happen? I put off the recollection of the previous day to stare at Chevalier's face. His glasses are off, and without them his face seems strangely empty. He looks vulnerable, almost like a child, except his features are too handsome for that. What am I thinking? I slowly put my hand to his cheek and flinch when his eyebrows crease. Moments later, his eyes open. They are foggy this early in the morning. What is this? Have I been woken by my princess? This music sounds like it came from Final Fantasy VIII. It sounds very similar to some stuff from Final Fantasy VIII. Usually it is the princes that wake their princesses. Ugh. I will always wonder how he manages to keep smiling like that. Even when he is in pain, he forces a smile. But you are no prince, and I am not some damsel in distress. Chevalier closes his eyes again and sighs. There's only one way to break the spell of sleep. Oh no. I flush as his lips curl into a mischievous smile. Still his eyes do not open. I think about what happened last night. Parfait and Mithros' death, Varg's escape, everyone else's heartbreak. Before I have to relieve the burden, I can afford to lose myself in some happiness. I lean forward to kiss his smile. I break away from Chevalier, startled. Princess? How distressing. Waltz the Big ruins everything. Darn it, he had so much potential. I quickly slip out of bed and Chevalier sits up and puts on his glasses with a yawn. Good morning, Princess, and his eyes widen when he sees Chevalier. Are you so tired that words have abandoned you, Waltz? No, I wanted to see if the princess was doing okay. If you were both alright, actually. He pauses to look at us, eyebrows furrowed in thought. Though I can imagine just how tongue-tied you must be, you should speak if you have something to say. Walt sighs. I didn't want to bring this up so soon, but it's been on my mind the whole night. He is taller than Chevalier, and I just realized... He tall boy! He very tall boy! It's just... You didn't have to kill Myth. That was my job. Your job? I doubt that. Besides, I didn't want to kill him. It was a reaction. The room goes silent for a few moments as Chevalier stares down at the floor. He told me before that lives were valuable. That is why I tried to save Mithros, but in the end, my sparing his life forced Chevalier to carry the burden of his death. He has already told me that it is not my fault. Parfait said that what I did was a good deed, but still. Killing Mithros saved us more casualties. I hope I can convince Chevalier of that. Most likely he will wrestle with that guilt for a long time. I turn my attention back to Waltz and will the questions to the back of my mind for the time being. Waltz, there are questions I need to ask you. About how he broke his curse, about Mother being his teacher, about Mithros. There's so much to ask him. I do not even know where to start. We have plenty of time for explanations now, Princess. After your birthday, Delora and I will pick up your magic education, but for now you should rest. I'll give you the full story of my apprenticeship and curse another day. But Princess Chevalier, I just thought I'd let you know that when Parfait came into this battle, she expected to die. She told all of us that while we were sitting around trying to plot a rescue plan. I glance at Chevalier, who nods quietly. Was it because of her frailty after the Great War? Or did Parfait somehow have a feeling? Oh, also, congratulations on breaking your curse, princess. Chevalier sits up straight, his eyes narrowed behind his glasses. Waltz, I was supposed to congratulate her first. Chevalier stands and kisses me promptly on the cheek. My cheeks flush and even Waltz looks embarrassed. Congratulations, my sweet. It was all very dramatic when your curse broke. There was this bright light and... Wait. Why was there no bright light when I broke my curse? Both Waltz and I burst into laughter. Chevalier just sighs dramatically. He leans against my shoulder and I do not protest. I have a feeling that getting through the memory of last night might be easier with him here. If anyone can put a smile on my face, it is Chevalier. We hope to see you again at the Marchen soon, princess. I'll be back. After all, I have friends there. Did I speak falsely? No, of course not. It's the truth. Anyway, I need to get going. I've explained what happened to your father, but you should talk with him privately soon. After everything that happened last night, speaking to the king is the last thing on my mind, but I suppose it must be done. Thank you, Waltz. And you, Chevalier, might want to ask for a guest room. But no bed is as comfy as the princess's. I nudge him without realizing, but Chevalier just laughs. We promise Waltz that we will see him and everyone else in the Marchen soon. Afterwards, Waltz hurries out and shuts the door. My eyes go to the edge of my bed where something shiny catches my eyes. The slippers! This is the first time they ever brought back the slippers after her initial curse being broken. The glass slippers are a reminder of everything that happened yesterday. Of the fact that life goes beyond just black and white. Good and evil are subjective. In the end, life is gray, Mother. Both good and bad, but even so, even though fairy tale endings cannot exist, I still want to live my life with everyone else. Mithras centered his life around a single person. He was selfish. I will become someone better than him. Thinking about Mithras makes me remember something. Chevalier, yesterday you said that you took care of Mithras during the Great War. That no one came for him. Was that true? I don't know, Lucette. He acted like it was, though, wasn't it? So you never knew Mithras? No, I didn't know him at all. I don't know if I would have been able to strike him down if I did. I don't know what burden he carried, but it seemed heavy. I only guessed at what I could say to distract him. I'd heard rumors of a strong witch that went abandoned for many years. That may have been him. It might not have been. So deception exists in everyone, but it is not entirely what Mother said was. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and finish things. We're gonna go ahead and finish. It's gonna be one of those long episodes. And one thing I want to go ahead and say though is that if they had mentioned the glass slippers in the other routes, in particular in Waltz's route toward the end, especially with like Life is Gray, Mother, that would have, I don't know how to explain it, but that would have felt just complete. That feels like it would have just really completed everything, if that makes any sense. So that was a good addition, I think. Especially because in this route, it kind of binds into everything that they've discussed involving life and all that. And again, it just stinks because it's like there's so much good in this route, but it's completely offset by all the really bad, crappy stuff that happened. And I hate that so much. My birthday is tomorrow. I sit in the throne room speaking to my father, who has listened to my tale with patience. When it is over, he looks at me sadly. I owe you an apology, Lucette. This whole time you have been on your own. I could not do a thing for you. I chose not to, subconsciously or consciously. You can now. Starting first by explaining what happened between you and Mother. You knew she was a witch. I did. You did too, before she forcibly erased your memories, that I chose not to discuss with you at any point whatsoever, even though I knew what the consequences of not doing that might be when you became the Tenebrarum Bearer. Never get over that. I tried reaching out to you many times when you were a child, but my efforts were met with resistance. Still, I cannot excuse myself for what I had done. You said in a different route, the reason why you weren't able to spend time with her and why you were forced to neglect her and why you were forced to kind of push her away was because of her mother, and now you're saying it's because of her. So, I guess it does depend on the route what the plot is, as far as what their relationship and everything that happened was. Still, I cannot excuse myself for what I have done. I truly abandoned you, and I am sorry for that, Lucette. He apologized, and he's not dead this time. I will explain the story to you, if you give me time. For now, I would very much like to mend my bond with you. To be honest, the king still angers me. He only apologizes now after all of this has come to light. Whether or not I was difficult to speak to, he still had an obligation to seek me out. You tell him! This is even more reason why. Okay, I'm starting to see why she thought that I would like this route. It has a lot of good stuff in it that I agree with. It makes me feel good and it's very satisfying. I love this part, and I hate that they did what they did to freaking Rumpel to ruin this route. But I am starting to understand, besides the cheesy lines and everything, why she felt I would really like this route. I am now seeing it. He is still late to care, but he is still my father, and I can forgive him. If you feel like you still can forgive him, and he's actually putting in an effort, I 100% support that. I can learn to trust him again. It will take some time, but I would like to mend our bond. I would also like to try speaking with Emmeline, Ron, and Ophelia, but that will take time. The king smiles at me. It is one of the first honest smiles I have seen from him in years. We have time. All the time in the world, and we will mend our family bond, I promise. As I turn to leave the room, the king calls out to me. Lucette, I am proud of you. More proud than any other father in the realm could ever be of his child. No, and there was a little smile. After what happened, we searched for Fritz, but he has vanished. Mithras and Varg had said that they had replaced him, but they never said anything about what happened to him. We searched endlessly, but to no avail. All I can hope is that he is safe and that I will reunite with him again in the future. I hope they do. Fritz deserves better, darn it! I hate that his route is the most tragic. Oh, Waltz's performance today was amazing. Don't you agree, Mr. Chevalier? I agree. You ladies looked especially charmed with so many lilies floating around you. Oh my. He always speaks like that. Do not mind him. It has been a whole month since the events at the palace. My birthday has come and gone. Now my life begins. When does my life begin? I have been practicing magic with Waltz and Delora, attempting to bond with my family and visiting the Marchant when time allows me to. Anise was overjoyed to see me visiting often. Since Chevalier operates from there as a doctor, I visit often. Mostly, though, he clings to me like a leech. Oftentimes, I find him in my bed when I could have sworn he was sleeping in another room for the night. Sometimes at night he has nightmares, of blood on his hands, and of Mithras' death. And at those times, I'm glad to be sitting right beside him so I can promise him that things are alright. As for the fairy tale curse, I have no idea how Lucette puts up with you. Rod's voice comes out from between his lips. Now he can actually speak. Since the fairy tale curse was tied to Mother's still living soul in the crystal, her disappearance and my taking her place immediately caused the root to vanish. I have been working for days to break everyone's fairy tale curses with magic, and when I am done, no one in this kingdom will have to suffer from it ever again. And now the Marchant is not just a place reserved for the cursed. Now it is open to the public. Lucette enjoys it, though. She finds my poetic weavings to be the best in the kingdom. What he means to say is I can only put up with them because of our relationship. Loving someone so much you can put up with their nonsensical poetry. I thought you were the one... I thought you were the nice one, Princess Emmeline. No, she has a point. Emmeline focuses her attention on a musician standing off in the distance. She points excitedly, then rushes after them, pulling her brother with her. Her guard follows. Ever since the incident at the palace, we have had more security. I do not blame the king, though it can be tiring at times. Luckily, he is more lax with me. When I told him Chevalier was going to be with me, he settled with having Emmeline and I share guards. And so, I get to be alone with Chevalier often. Father was wary of him at first, until he found out he was a renowned doctor. Now he and Chevalier get on well enough. Chevalier takes a step closer to me, and I put my hands around his arm. Very cute. A lot of my bad feelings for Rumpel have kind of gone because it's easy to kind of not forget. Obviously, I haven't forgotten a darn thing. But I will admit, they kind of go away with time, and I can kind of understand why people forgot how bad this route actually was. Because by the end of it, he hasn't really done too much bad stuff in the last couple of chapters, so it is easy to forget he actually is a pretty crappy person. But I will say this, I am happy that I can at least end things on somewhat happy feels. Though again, I'm still mad at them for how they done him dirty. I am no prince, nor am I a knight in shining armor. I am just a doctor. A doctor who has been blessed with the most beautiful woman in this world. Chevalier begins to lead me through town again. He is one of the only constants in my ever-changing life. He is the one that will always make me smile, and we share a burden, the burden of a friend's death. He is more burdened with nightmares than I am, and while I wish I could do more to help, I can at least listen to him, just like he listens to me. No matter the burden, it can be overcome. Lucette? Yes? I love you, more than anything in this world. I love you too. We share one kiss, ignoring the spectators in the town with a shared smile, then we follow after Emmeline. Yay! It's the end! I finished the game! And like I said, at least I can end on some somewhat pretty happy feels. I'm still mad about some things that happened in the route, obviously. I'm not exactly the type to let go of a grudge. But, again, I'm not leaving this route completely hating it. I will never play it again. Because there's that one CGI I definitely did not like. I really do hope that one day, just like with some other games, like I mentioned, the Arcana has done this, a couple of other games that were dating sims that were mainly on the phone, admittedly, have done things where they changed up plot to make things make more sense, and like, not just little changes either, like huge, big changes, and they added in CGIs and stuff like that, to make plot stuff and to make character stuff make sense and to add on additional characters. So I'm hoping one day they do go back, they kind of adjust the intro, adjust Rumpel, adjust her relationship with her father to kind of have like one thing so that it makes sense when they're talking in the actual story part. Like, did he abandon her or didn't he? Was it because of her mom or wasn't it? That kind of thing. So that Rumpel isn't so crappy at the beginning. And it makes it more enjoyable to be in this route. Additionally, I would like to see them add some other people as possible love interests. And I don't imagine they're ever going to come back to the game to do any of these things. But I mean, if they ever did, I would come back and keep playing it again. And I will say that I will probably play all the other routes except for Fritz and Rumpel's again, because the other three routes were still very enjoyable. Karma, Rod, and Waltz. Lots of fun. I'm going to be playing through their routes again for certain for the sequel on my own to kind of refresh my memory. I don't think I'm going to be replaying Fritz's because there's just too much tragedy. And yes, with the sequel, the first one I'm going to do is going to be Rumpel's. We've already seen this. It's the introduction to the next one. Alright guys, that's it! Did you enjoy that particularly long final episode of this series? Well, at least of the phenomenon before this, the sequel part of the series. I hope you did. I'm excited. We're about to see the thing. There they are! Look at them! His looks a little strange to me. Oh well, I'm not an artist. What do I know? Anyway, that was Cinderella Phenomenon! Rumpel's route. We are completely done with this part of the game. On Monday, we're going to be starting the sequel! I'm very excited. The first one I'm going to do is going to be Rumpel, and then the next one right after that is going to be Rod's. And the reason for that is because I kind of just want to get Rumpel's out of the way. Completely out of the way. People say that he's a lot better in the sequel. I'm really hoping that he does make up for himself from this game in the sequel. And then Rod's, the reason why his is going next instead of going in the same order I did last time was because I'm really interested to see how they make it work. And then after that, it will probably be like Karma, Fritz, and Waltz. I want Waltz, who is the next most anticipated route, to go last, because I kind of want to end on the best note possible, and since he is my favorite, we're going to end with him. Anyway, speaking of ending things, I'm going to go ahead and end the video now. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I am Bacon, and this was Cinderella Phenomenon. If you liked the video, feel free to like the video. If you like me, feel free to like, subscribe, comment, all that lovely stuff. And I will see you next week. Bye-bye!